Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Gonna see if I can do this correctly now. As usual, I have no idea if I. Every time, this is probably going to just be something that you're going to notice I say a lot on streams. Every time I think, oh, I've got everything set up. This is gonna be easy. I just gotta hit record and ready to go. Never, ever, ever quite works out that way. No idea why, just the way that it goes. But, whatever. Got it running eventually, so better late than never. Let's see. Okay. Why do you... What? Okay. Let me go down here and I'm just doing my normal posting in the normal places. Delete that out. Let's go ahead and post that there. And I don't even know why I'm in that particular section. Let's go ahead and post that there. And let's post it. Where was the other place I usually post it? Oh, here. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that. And delete that. And we'll post that there. Okay, that takes care of Discord. Now, let's jump over. Why is that thing staying there? Oh, whatever. Okay. Well, nobody's here yet anyway, so that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. All right, now let's take our Discord link. Isn't this fun and amusing? And we will post it on Twitter and the Mastodon instance that I am part of. And then that'll be about 5 minutes anyway, because that's how long it takes me to do things. And we'll be ready to go. Okay, let's see. What's this link? Oh, right. Okay. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, that's very nice. Very nice of Len. That's great. So he has a Twitter account called I Disagree With You. What a great Twitter handle. That's really funny. I like that a lot. It's just called I Disagree With You. That is absolutely delightful. You know what? People do have very funny Twitter names sometimes. Okay. Wait, did I just... Well, jeez. Retweet. There we go. All right, I'm going to post this one more place, and then I'll finally be ready to actually get this thing started. Good grief. But, yeah, that's okay. All right. And paste, and publish, and okay. All right. All right. Oh, boy. Okay. Let's see where we are. Okay, microphone looks good. Music should be playing. I've got my screen share running and activated. I shall take now a drink of water. That's slightly room temperature water. Still very good though. Anything's good when you're thirsty in terms of water. Turn my keyboard off so I don't just start randomly pressing keys. And let's do our little transition video. Bang. This should be nice and quick. Yep, there it is. I started working again today on what will replace this. Not started. I resumed. Oh, very nice. 1:30 a.m. Jeez, man. Yeah, I'm way asleep by then. Okay. All right. So let's see where we are. Okay. So I got some feedback on this image today that... Apparently I don't know what these are actually called, the Turok bones, which is all I know to call them, these white sticks. Somebody said, why is he covered in cigarettes? So, and I understand why. It's a Turok reference, but if you don't see it right away, you don't see it right away. So I get it. Welcome, Cenotaph, by the way. That's what I meant to say before I started in this. I should have said that before I said the thing about the bedtime thing, about it being late. So what I'm going to do is I'm thinking that the only way maybe I can dispel the idea that these are cigarettes is to do a different color on them. I don't really know what else I can do. I don't think they're an actual color now. I think they're just stark white, right? Well, they're they're that, but they're basically white. So what I need to do is get more of a bone color. Let's take a look. Something maybe like that. I mean, I still think that's going to kind of look like cigarettes, but, you know, it's worth a shot. So I think if I just fill it... Oh! Did it fill? It filled everything, right? You know what? Actually, that's okay. I can just erase what I don't need. Maybe that will look more like the Turok things. I don't even know what they are. I just know that they're from Turok, but I actually don't know what you would even describe those objects as. So... I don't know if this is necessarily going to really fix the issue, but I will try it on the off chance that it does. I'm just erasing the big chunks here now, just because I know I don't have to worry about... Unfortunately, the fill layer thing isn't... I would like something where there was a... Well, I guess I could have done a fill layer multiply, but then it still would have been a whole layer behind it. So you know what? This is still just as efficient to me. Nice, easy way to fix this. I don't know whether this is going to make them look less like cigarettes. I don't. I think. Oh, okay. So I do need a actual white layer. Hold on a minute, because I notice now he's got dead doll eyes. We don't want that, so we do need a white layer. Okay, here we go. Let's just fill that in so he actually has normal eyes. There we go. Yep, nice and easy. I don't think white is anywhere else but his eyes. And those bones, which were now... As you can see, it is labeled bones. So that was the intent. Okay, so let's go back to the bones layer. And you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to turn off the... Well, I'll leave this color on and turn the other colors off just so I can see where everything is. So let's turn off the skin tone. Let's turn off the holy diamonds, the outer frame, even though the outer frame shouldn't matter. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. And we will erase this to that point. Okay. It is going to be a busy, well, busy in relative terms. You are quite welcome. You are literally quite welcome, and you are quite welcome. You can take that in a number of different ways. You are quite welcome to the stream. You are quite welcome for the greeting. So there you go. I have at least, well, I shouldn't say at least. I have one pending any cancellations or scheduling conflicts. I have at least 3 interview or discussion type shows coming up. I'm actually recording one on Friday for a different show, not my show, where I will be talking about AI art, which seems to be the hot topic of the moment, one of many, I guess. AI art and how it will or will not destroy artists. Pretty sure anybody who's listened to my show for a while already knows my opinion on that, but it will be a platform where I get to actually just be a guest and not actually have to host anything, which is a nice change. I don't mind that. Boy, that music sounds really loud. The mic's probably not picking it up. Wait, let me listen. If it is, it's got to be very faint. It just sounds loud from the computer speaker. Did I bump them up? Whatever. That's fine. So that'll be interesting. Not interesting is the wrong word for it. That makes it sound academic. It'll be fun because I don't often appear on shows where I'm not hosting it. So it's nice to show up and not have to worry about doing anything but just blowing hot air for a while. So I'll be recording that on Friday over on the Project Archivist podcast. I don't know when it will go live. I think he usually publishes within a week or so, but that's fine. I really don't care. Like I said, I don't have to worry about it. Oh, I have to cough. I'm going to mute because I'm going to cough. Woo, just caught that one. That would have been really rough on the mic if I'd coughed right on the mic. So that will be a show I will be on. And then I'm not going to even say who yet, but one of the interviews that I am pretty locked in on. I mean, it's scheduled, so again, things can happen. So I always understand if people have to back out. I never get upset about that. But one of them is with an author of a very specific type of book on a subject of interest subject in which I have a lot of interest. Don't know what I was doing to the English language just then. So that one is scheduled. So that one seems pretty firm. Another one is with a, I don't know, would you call it a YouTuber? I guess, is that still the phrase we're using? A content creator, whatever. Who I actually, oh man, look at that. I screwed that up. Well, I can fix that really easy though. Somebody that I've actually been trying to get something set up with for a while because I think he's a riot. And finally it looks like he will have some time in his schedule because he's also an exceptionally busy person. I don't like imposing on people's time. I really don't. You know, I don't like to. I did at one point because, you know, I wasn't really hearing much back. I at one point said, hey, look, you know, you can tell me to go screw and it's fine. I don't want to be one of these people who bugs somebody who just doesn't have any interest. And he was like, no, it's not that. It's just I'm exceptional business. I said, all right, I just don't want to be bugging you. I won't keep asking if the answer is just going to be no. You can just say no, and I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to have any problem with it. And that was, but it looks like finally there's some time coming up where he will have some availability, which is great because I think that will potentially, I hope, based on the fact that I think he and I have similar personalities in a lot of ways, I think that'll be a very amusing show. Potentially could be a very long one. I also have a hunch that, like me, he's somebody who can just talk for a long time. But again, I don't want to pre-announce that one till I actually have it firmed out. But that will probably, and then what else? Why I think there's something else? Is there something else? Am I forgetting something? I probably am. I've got such a terrible memory for anything. But yeah. And I'll be planning to do some streaming because I will have blocks of free time. Probably the 2 weeks after December. Or sorry, not after. The 2 weeks after December. That's a stupid statement. The 2 weeks after Christmas, I should have some good chunks of time to do some streams. I can do them at different times. Because again, I generally do these in the evening here in Northern California, and I know that not everybody can show up at that time, so I am planning to do some that are going to be earlier. Quick mass on I suspect people who may use it pay for commission. Is a personalization using a real RSD? Oh, yeah, no, no, and that's going to be as a bit of a preview. This is the thing is, oh, whatever, I don't care. I'm going to repeat all this. I don't. A lot of people are really freaking out about the AI art thing, and to a degree, it's what I'm noticing is a lot of times people are not making the proper distinction on the real. There's really two issues. Technically, there's three, but two that people will care about. Let's put it that way. The first one is whether AI art is going to, quote unquote, destroy artists, right? That's one you see a lot of, particularly from independent artists who, you know, are concerned, and I understand the concern. I don't want to minimize it, and I don't want to dismiss it because it's not completely unfounded. That this is going to, the AI art is potentially going to take work away from working artists. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. There is no two ways around that. It's going to do that because you're going to find that people who don't have a lot of funds, to your point about, you know, if you don't have the funds to pay a commission, then those people are going to look to AI tools to, I mean, it's, and really this is the thing. It's not really any different from, I'm sure the same, I haven't looked this up. I'm probably going to before I do the show on Friday because I like to have at least some, you know, backing for things I say if I'm not completely sure about them. But I would imagine that when cameras came around, when cameras were first invented, there was a point where if you wanted a portrait, you were paying an artist to render a portrait, whether it was a painter or pen and ink, pencil, whatever. You were paying a person and sitting there as that person did a portrait of you. I'm not going to say I guarantee. I would be shocked if when the camera became a viable tool for doing portraiture and photographs, that people could afford, I would be shocked if there weren't people saying this will destroy the art world, because who will do these? No one's going to have to do portraits anymore. No one will pay for portraits because I can just have a photo done. This is a common thing. Anytime there is a technological innovation, there is a fear to it that people will have. And again, not to say that there is nothing behind that fear, but you are not going to replace, at any point in time soon, human creativity. You're just not going to be able to do it. It's just not going to be possible. It is my larger point. Or one of the points that I'm going to make is, until there's a point where the human brain can be replicated digitally, which certainly isn't going to be anytime soon. Unlike Lando, who thinks that it will never happen, it will happen. I don't know when. I don't know. It might take 10,000 years for it to happen. But at some point, someone's going... I mean, there's been lots of things throughout history. Anytime somebody says, well, they'll never figure X out, they'll figure it out. So they will map out what the brain is. And at some point, there will be... I have every reason to believe that there will be what is actually AI. Not what we call AI now, which I think is a really terrible use of the term. There will be true artificial intelligence where I saw it disappear, where a machine is able to simulate sentience to a degree in which you couldn't tell it wasn't. So whether it's imitative, is that a word, imitative? I think it is. Imitative sentience or true sentience really won't matter if people can't tell. It's what's the difference? Or it will be true sentience. But even if that were to happen, even assuming that at some point that yes, machines will achieve some form of artificial intelligence, let's say that happens, it still isn't going to replace an actual human being's approach to anything, because machines don't have the life experience, I'm trying to pluralize, the life experiences of a human being. Those life experiences, those encounters, those chance ways of seeing the world, those traumas and joys that we have as human beings, they're not going to exist for the computer. And so, let's say you have a fully sentient computer, completely fully sentient, actual AI like in comic books and everything else. It can think, it can feel, blah, blah, blah. It's RoboCop, whatever. Well, that's a bad example. RoboCop started out as a person. But you have a sentient machine, true artificial intelligence, okay? You put that machine on a desk, and you sit that machine next to a human being, and you tell both of these participants, I want you to draw. I mean, still life, yes, of course. I mean, that's sort of the thing. People are getting hung up on the fact that machines can take certain prompts and do this really, frankly, amazing artwork. Well, that's not really... That's not the thing that I would be all that concerned with, because honestly, that's not new either. So saying okay to the machine and the person, wait, did I? No, I'm doing this right. I'm just making sure I'm not erasing the wrong stuff. I want you to paint a picture of this still life that I have assembled from apples and flowers and a ceramic bowl. Okay? Yeah, the machine's going to be able to generate that. And actually, even the prompts that people use, do it in the style of whoever. People can do that too. But even if you do that, even if you give the machine and the person the same quote-unquote prompts, you're not going to get the same artwork. So it's not really replacing the person. That's the thing. It's not actually replacing anything. Where I think there is... What is out? I think there's a lot of when you have these fast technological upgrades, because I don't think anybody expected AI art or what they're machine-generated art. I'm not going to call it AI art. That's incorrect. I don't think anybody expected it to get this good this fast. I don't think anybody really didn't think it was going to come, but I don't think the anticipation was that it would be this quick and that you could do stuff with it as quickly as you can. That presents a legal problem. That is where people have, I think, a very legitimate concern. There is clearly theft of intellectual property happening. It's not even a hypothetical. It's not a maybe. It's happening. There are multiple demonstrated examples of it. I saw one earlier today where you could actually see in the produced art from the machine the signatures of the artist still on the artwork that was incorporated. That is, I'm sorry, that is, when it is doing stuff like that, there's going to have to be some degree of royalties or licensing or something. Now, people are making the argument, well, artists steal from each other all the time. Yeah, they do. But generally, when artists steal, they're called out on it. They don't generally get a lot of work when they do that. Or at least they stop getting it once they're imitating. And the other thing is, generally, most of those people are smart enough not to do a one-to-one replica, especially considering, putting something like the artist's signature in there. So, unfortunately, what I think that's going to lead to is, and this is a really tricky area of this stuff, because it's almost a lose-lose. Either way this goes, I think in general it's a loss. You're either going to have it where laws are going to be established that make it where it's going to be tough to do anything that even is inspired by somebody else. Because, I mean, there is a limit to what you're going to be able to patent or copyright or whatever, right? Is somebody like Jim Lee going to be able to trademark or copyright or whatever the way he does shadows so that nobody else can? I don't know. And that's unfortunately where this is going to end up, is there's going to be a lot of kind of back and forth on what constitutes art, what constitutes ownership, where the line is between inspiration and imitation. So many factors, so many things. Yeah, that's it. And honestly, that's why when people say, well, you don't call it art. Well, it is art, because art is whatever you want it to be. So the idea that people are getting hung up on saying it's not art. Now I've seen there's a hashtag human art, to specify that whatever somebody is showing you is not machine generated. I have no problem with that. That's fine. You want to point out that you're doing human art. That seems like it might lead to a scenario where if there ever are actual sentient machines, you're going to have kind of speciesist. Oh man, what was that? There was an Asimov story where I've talked about it before on the show. There's an Asimov story that is about somebody getting surgery, and you're basically overhearing the doctors talking about the person who's getting the surgery, and what the person is getting surgery for is they're getting their perfectly serviceable human organs replaced with machine organs because they want to be more machine-like. So they're not actually getting a medical benefit. I'm pretty sure the story was very specific that there was not actually a medical benefit. So because at that point medicine had gotten so good that you didn't really have to worry about your organs failing. So this replacing a part, an organ, was really an aesthetic choice. It was to make them into what the story called metallos. So it was people who wanted to be machine-like. And basically the crux of the story is about your like I said, there's the surgeon and the nurses are discussing this, and the surgeon towards the end of the story reveals that he doesn't like that people are doing this. He thinks that people should just stay the species that they are, meaning that if you're human, stay human, and if you're a robot, stay a robot. Because I guess there may have been, I don't remember if the story specifies that maybe robots were doing the reverse, where they were getting organic parts. And so you're at the very, very end of the story as the doctor kind of reveals this attitude. The nurse says, isn't that speciesist? And he says, well, maybe it is, and if it is, then that's what I am. I'm a speciesist, but I think that you should be what you should be. And the catch of the story is that the very end of the story reveals that, in fact, the surgeon is a robot. Could you DM on Discord for the link to the show you're on Friday, please? Yeah, once I have a release date for it, then you know what? Actually, here, what I'll do is I'll type in here. Hold on a second, because just in case I forget, because I tend to forget things. But I will put the. Come on, I gotta learn to type again. This is the actual. Jeez, if I could spell it right. That's the actual. Let me double click that link and make sure that link is still valid. I'm pretty sure he has not changed his show link, but I'm just checking that. Did I spell it right? Jeez, why is this taking so long to resolve? Oh, come on, hold on a minute, sorry. That is the name of the show. Oh, okay, I got it. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I got it. It is different than that. Let me close that. Sorry, let me, you can't edit these things. Here, sorry, this is the correct link. Use that and you'll get there. That is the show that I'm going to be, it's not going to be a live thing, so I don't know how fast he'll post it, but in any event, yeah, you find out that the person that you assumed was a human being because of the way they were talking about, you know, that people should stay people, that it was a human being, and in fact, it's a robot. So it's a nice little twist ending story that I like quite a bit. I reference that story a lot because I reread that collection of stories usually once a year, and I'm always delighted by that story. It never fails to be one of my favorites that he's done, just because it's written so well that you just assume human prejudice, and then you get to the end and realize it's a robot. It's great. That is from, I believe the book is, I don't have it right in front of me, I believe that's Robot Visions, not Robot Dreams, because I often mix those two up, but they are very separate books. But it's got a Ralph McQuarrie image on the cover of a robot sitting and gazing off. I believe it is Robot Visions, not Robot Dreams. But I can't see the book from where I am because the bookshelf's in another room. So I actually still have my original copy of that book, which is in extraordinarily rough shape because I've had that book 25 plus years now. And it's a paperback, not a hardback. I don't know if it was ever out in hardback. I really should get a nice leather-bound edition if it's available for it. Just because it'll last longer, because that book is in rough shape. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't know whether you'll find that was a wise decision or not, but I certainly appreciate it. Yeah, it's a really good story. So I would say if you like Asimov and you like good robot stories, that is a good one. A number of good short stories in that one. And I like short stories better than novels in general, so that is also one of the reasons I really like that one. But it also just has really good stories in it. You know what? Let me turn off the glass for a second on this, just so I can get a nice clear view of what I'm... Oh, I know, I'm in the wrong layer. As usual, I thought, oh, maybe I'll get this done tonight. There's no way I'm going to get the... Oh, jeez, it's almost... God, I've been doing this for that long already? All right, okay. Just lost track of time. But that's all right, because like I said, there will be longer streams incoming. Longer, not drastically longer. I still think that once I get around the hour mark, it's generally time to give my hands and my back a bit of a rest, because I can't really do this without hunching a bit, and I know that's not great for me. Luckily, I have my nice new office chair, so it's a lot better than it was. A lot better. But still, cannot imagine it is a particularly ergonomic way to do things for long. Let's see here. So, yeah. So, like I said, the whole human art thing makes me think, okay. And it doesn't really matter today because we don't have living robots, but that is kind of the seeds of a prejudicial way of seeing the world. I just, again, yeah, there are going to be people who are going to lose some of their work. But I would also argue that I think people who actually value art, who truly value it, will still be getting commissions. Those who can afford it. The people who couldn't afford it weren't doing it anyway, so you're not really losing anything there. And the reality is, here's something else, because I've heard a variation of this argument too. Because when I bring up the whole thing about, hey, a lot of people can't afford commissions. I'm very fortunate in my life that I've been able to get commissioned work from people. And that's just, and I can't do it all the time. I don't have that kind. I'm not sitting on Elon Musk money or anything, or unlike him, I'd be spending most of my money on original art and supporting artists. But not everybody can, and people who can and don't, they don't care about the art anyway. So news for you, they were never going to buy your stuff to begin with. The people who really value what artists do, they will save up for that commission. They're going to want it. They're not going to, even if you do an AI thing, deep down, those people know it's not the actual work. They know that they've basically cheated their way to getting something, even if it looks identical. They know what it is and what it isn't. Somebody, that's one of the reasons, especially if you collect original art, one of the reasons that you don't just buy a print is because you want to know that you have the piece that somebody actually had their hands on. The original artwork that I have, one of the things I like best when I look at it is to look at it at an angle in the light, because I can see the pen strokes and all the rest of it. I see it. It's not just the image. It's to actually know that somebody did that work, and the imperfections are part of it. Whereas the AI imperfections are, well, they're scarier as opposed to being, appealing. Some of the AI, and somebody pointed out very correctly that there is already a kind of AI look. Let's see. Offer promotion channel. Yeah, that's okay. Burn whatever. I don't care. I really didn't think I was already going to have a spam thing here. Good grief. What does this do? Oh, well, that's a timeout. How do I just eliminate this person? Banned. Oh, good. Insta-ban. Sweet. Bye. Pay for that. Are you kidding me? You really think I'm going to start paying for viewers? Here I am talking about the value of authentic and original and real art, and a chatbot or whatever, a spam bot comes in offering to give me artificial promotion. That is the height of irony, I would say. What is that name? Jeez, I should have known from the friggin' name. I start reading it. I can get you promotion. I don't care. Bunny Tees V. Couldn't care less. I don't need this channel to ever be making money. That's not what it's going to do. I've accepted that already. It's not going to happen. And I'm fine with it. Buy a promotion. You got to be kidding me. There is some high-level humor in the fact that happened in the middle of me talking about original artwork. But anyway. So yeah, those people know. They know they're not getting real artwork. They know where it came from, and that basically it was generated but not actually crafted. It wasn't made. But again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because some people don't have the money for the commissions. So, and at some point there will be interesting stuff that comes out of it. Maybe not yet. It'll take a little while. But I think at some point you will start to... There will be, because I know there's some people who start off with a generated image and then they do some work to it and they kind of make it into something. That's an interesting idea. That to me isn't necessarily a bad thing if somebody starts off with something. Because look, somebody had said, and I think this is absolutely correct, art is the battle between the mind and the expression of what's in the mind, right? I can think of grandiose, magnificent scenes in my head. I will never be able to render them correctly. But if I could use an AI tool or a machine learning tool, I'm not going to call it AI, if I could use a machine generator or a computer generated tool to create, say, a background that I couldn't have done myself, and then I add something to it, there's some interesting possibilities in there. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing, to allow people to achieve what they're trying to do without necessarily being able to, because not everybody can rely on their innate skill. Not everybody can do it. That's not any type of anything. It's just a reality of the world, is that not everybody can do this stuff. It's not like I can get most of what's in my head out. I generally can't. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. All right, we're going to use the flowing hair. Let's put some of this stuff in here. This is going to be for these what do you call it? These lines here. So I'm going to smear these. All right. I did put on its own layer. I did. Let's go ahead and liquefy this thing. Oh, yeah, there we go. Well, I got to put it over those lines, but this will work. So let's liquefy this quite a bit. Drag that through there. All right. Liquefy some of this stuff. Yeah. Like, a computer's not going to do this. Not the same as I'm doing it, because I'm just kind of choosing how I want to do it. But no computer will replicate this. You know, it's just not going to happen. So that's what I mean about it. I'm not too worried. That's got to go above the stutters. So is there a reason? So the glass really should be above everything, shouldn't it? Now that I look at this. Oh, because those are colors. That's black line. That's the mistake I made. These should not be up here. These should be down in. These should have their own group. They should be in the graph lines. My fault. I didn't group these properly. Let's move these guys down. Come on down. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Now they're underneath the glass layer. And we're set. Okay, so let's see. Oh, you know what I didn't do, though? You know what? The only problem with that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something with a special case here. Because I'm not going to put black lines around those red lines. I kind of like them not having, even though it sort of breaks the stained glass thing, which I realize it does. But I kind of like it, so I don't really care. Sometimes you have to not be too precious about things if you like the way it looks. I got some work done. It wasn't a lot of money to search for budget. Yeah, and I mean that's really what, and that's the other thing. I mean, there's so many artists around that people will find work. I really don't think it's going to be the artistic Armageddon that people think it is. I understand where it comes from. I really do. I don't want to sound like I don't understand where it's coming from, because for many people it's hard enough to make a living as an artist to begin with, without having to worry about, oh, okay, now there's a tool that's going to make it where I'll have even less work than I had before, and I didn't have a lot to begin with. I get that. I definitely understand and sympathize with that. I do. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to happen the way people are afraid it's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be a point where people who otherwise were going to be willing to pay for output from artists are suddenly not going to because of a AI tool. I just do not think it is going to be that type of... Let me turn the glass off on those other sections because I want to make sure I'm erasing just the stuff I need to erase. And that's kind of going to be my larger point. But there is going to be a legitimately interesting period of legal whatevering over what rights are constituted where, because again, they are clearly without permission. I mean, it's very, very obvious that that people's artwork is being wholesale ripped off. And that's the interesting point, is if it is being incorporated with little to no transformation. I mean, you can't do that with music. You can't just take somebody's song. People have been sued and lost over it. So you can't just take somebody's artwork and just take it. At least traditionally you haven't been able to. So I would assume that will not be allowed. And if in fact it's not, again, presuming that it isn't, that there isn't some kind of really... I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. With the court system in the United States lately, who knows what happens, but I would be surprised if that happened. Oh, that's on top of the This is interesting. I have to figure out how I'm going to want this to work. Where's that rectangle? Okay, that's there. It shouldn't. Yeah, see, I kind of put myself... Oh, no, I'm okay here. This is okay. This layer moves down. I know where I am now. If I do that... Yep, we're good. Okay. That other layer is going to be a special case. So let's turn off all the other glass for now. There we go. I got in my own head for a minute. So the legality thing is going to be a fascinating thing to watch, because there will be lawsuits over this. I mean, I already saw, I think it was Adobe has already posted something about, how they're going to try to handle this, and they're trying to get ahead of it. Although I saw people who are not satisfied with what Adobe said in terms of, I think they're going to have probably their Sensei AI system, or what they call it, Sensei AI. I don't know if I really call it that. Well, whatever, it's their term. They can call it whatever they want. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. That they're going to have it, I think, checking for copyrighted imagery. So obviously, Adobe, who is, always trying to position themselves as artist friendly, let's not bring up the whole subscription thing, but which I pay. So I mean, I'm not saying that as if I don't pay it. I do. But they are trying to, I think, get ahead of it as much as they can by saying, that they will have a royalty system that will apply, that I think they're going to have their software checking to make sure people aren't stealing. How well that's going to work, you're going to have the problem of false positives there, just like you have with everything else. So it's going to be there's going to be a lot of friction and a lot of kind of figuring out of what this is going to look like, I think, over the next few years in particular. And I don't really know what it will end up looking like, and what we will then, what will be defined as art, what will be defined as an image or a copy of a work as opposed to a transformation of a work. I know that you can take something and transform it. I don't know what the legal metrics for that are, and whether it's going to be something that's easily going to be applied to art. I don't know. Because you can paint like Salvador Dali, and that's not you're not going to, the Dali estate or whatever is in charge of his artwork, they can't come after you because you paint a melted clock. If you do a complete repainting of his work and sell it as your own, I'm pretty sure they can come after... Oh, the thing just turned off. I'm pretty sure they can come after you for that. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see what the determination is there. Some of these companies may simply just decide to get out in front of it and not, like I said, like Adobe, and not even take a chance and say, nope, we're going to make sure that, we're not allowing for copyrighted imagery. But again, somebody's going to say, well, what counts as copyrighted imagery? What is a copyrighted work? So I don't know. It's not like I think that there's a simple answer to this. I don't think there is. But I don't really worry about it, Now, would my opinion, just to be completely honest about it, would my opinion be different if I was somebody who was a full-time artist, that was my only source of income, and I saw that there was a direct threat from this? I might think very differently about it. I'll freely admit that. But, when you get into that, the reality is that art is not valued properly in our society anyway. So I'm not going to pretend that some of the reason I think this is because I am fortunate enough not to be relying on artwork as my primary income source. But I think that, again, I would like to be optimistic. It's never a good idea, but I would like to think that people who value art would not be using these tools anyway, because they wouldn't actually think it was the same thing. I don't think people get confused about that. I think the people who are going to leverage this are people who either were never going to pay for real art, like magazines and book cover type stuff. They don't want to be paying artists anyway. They really don't. So yeah, they're going to take advantage of this stuff, like editorial images and like Time Magazine, that type of stuff, for as long as magazines exist. They're already in a financial panic because there isn't advertising anymore and everything's online. So they're going to look at this and say, yeah, if we can save X number of dollars by not paying an illustrator for, a story this month, screw it. Let's do it. Get a subscription to whatever. And we can generate the art in 5 minutes. And the other thing is, if they want to change it, they don't have to worry about paying change fees or anything else. So there is definitely something to the concern. But yeah, it's not going to replace human artists. Does it highlight the fact that I don't think that art is valued properly? Sure. I think it definitely does that. You have people who just want everything for free. And so those people will take advantage of those tools, and hey, that's how it goes. So yes, I know I'm going to be on it with an author who actually did his name is James Nettles, is supposed to be on there with me, and he did a podcast talking about this as well, and largely said, I think, a lot of what I just said. So I think he and I are going to be in agreement on quite a few things. All right, let's see. And there's the glass. Okay, let's turn that back off for the moment. So we'll see. But yeah, it is going to be an interesting thing to watch everybody try to figure out. Because again, I think while machine generated art was not something that was unpredictable, this is not something that just landed like a meteor and nobody could have foreseen it. Of course we knew it was going to happen, but I don't think people expected it to be as quick and as simple. I really think most people were not within that space, that weren't working on these tools themselves. I don't think most people expected it to be something where you could just, anybody in the course of no time at all, from when the first one, which I guess would be, I don't know if it was Dolly. I think Dolly was the first one that really went public or had the beta. Do I think that most people anticipated the speed at which this would happen? No. I think that probably did take a lot of people by surprise, but really shouldn't have been. Shouldn't have been all that much of a surprise. This is how technology is. It often jumps quick. And so I'm not overly surprised by the friction that we're seeing. This was always going to be the way that it would go, and it's only made worse by how fast it has progressed. But I'm not afraid of it. I don't fear it. That's going to be interesting. How am I going to get around that? I'm going to have to do this in Photoshop. I think I'm going to end up having to outline those lines. Even though I didn't really want to, I don't think it's going to be tricky to try to make that work. Well, we'll see. So yeah, I'm probably going to have to, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like I'm going to really hate it if they have stroke lines around it. It will make it fit more with the rest. I guess it's sort of sticks out that they're the only thing that aesthetically does not match the stained glass theme. Not a big deal. Whatever. So yes, I will post links, but that is the show where it will be. And I will try to bring my usual Looney Tunes view of the world to it, and hopefully not derail the show more than I typically derail every show that I'm on, because that is just in my nature. I just kind of typically wander off into the weeds of weird thought experiments. Basically our whole show, if you listen to it, is two people that can barely hold together on a topic. But that's how it goes. So yeah, I don't know. But like I said, it's going to be very interesting to look at it, because I think it also will, I hope it will actually generate people thinking about what art is and what value it has and why it's important. Something I think that it's very easy to not think about a lot of times. So maybe this will generate that kind of consideration and value that should be there, and get people thinking about, what art is, what it means to them, what it should mean to them. Again, very optimistic. I have no idea if this will just end up being something where it's, completely invisible and I, the other thing is, there are people who really don't, what is the way to phrase this properly? There are people who are going to see it as a bunch of whining over nothing. That well, I don't know, whining over nothing might not be fair. I think there are people who will look at this and not understand why people are so upset about it. And that's because a lot of people do look at artwork and artists, and I've run into this a little bit in my life, where people will be like, well, it's not a big deal, just draw X. And it's like, okay, that is not how it works. Part of the reason that I think some artists are miserable isn't really because they're inherently miserable people. It's because they can't express what's in them. And so the idea that, well, if you're so afraid of AI art, just draw more. I actually saw a version of that argument presented. Well, it's not, if you're so threatened by it, then you just have to work harder. As if artwork is, like cranking something out on an assembly line, which of course it is not. At least not for most of us. I'm sure there are people who have basically a factory approach to artwork and can do that. That is a rare skill, and not one I've got. As you can see, watching this. Not something where I'm speedy about this stuff. But that's what I mean about there isn't really, I think a lot of people tend to look at art and see it as some kind of magnificent bestowed gift. Oh, wow, you can draw. That must be awesome. Well, don't get me wrong. It is. I'm not going to pretend it isn't cool to be able to a lot of times actually generate what's in my head and put it down on paper. But it's not easy. It does involve some effort. So, again, these are all just things that may actually be part of the conversation when this stuff happens. May not. It's hard to say. And we'll see. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to bring the stream to a close here, because I am going to have to go into, it's very clear to me, I'm going to have to go into Photoshop for some of this stuff, and I don't quite have everything set up here to make that an easy thing to do on the stream. But really, all that I'm going to be doing is going into these lines and probably putting a stroke around them to match these black lines here. And then it'll look better anyway, and that'll make the glass effect better. So then after that, all I should really have to do is the glass in these two big back panels, and then probably these sticks. I don't think I've done them yet, so I got to figure that out too. I still got to work some things out there. But in any event, yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream here, because like I said, I don't really have it set up so that I could mirror over to, what do you call it, over to the, what's the word for it, the Photoshop thing. So I think I'll bring it to a close here, and yeah. Well, anyway, listening to me ramble about AI art, which was not what I expected to be doing for this long, but as with every stream, that's just how it ends up going. So thanks for stopping by, and if you can afford to pay artists for their work, you should. If you can't, I certainly am not going to tell anybody to make themselves go into debt over it. But if you can't, and the solution to the problem that you have to solve is to use machine-generated art, that's fine too. If you know that you can't afford to do it, you can't afford to do it. That's what I mean about, I don't want to be one of these people who's going to be like, everyone should just pay for artwork. No, don't do that. Not everybody can afford it. If you can, great. If you can't, you can't. So do I think that machine-generated art is the end of art as we know it? Is it going to destroy artists in the art world? No. I think it is, like so many things in history, a tool that is going to cause some disruption and uncertainty for a while, at least until we figure out how we're going to reckon with it. And after that, I think that there will be different forms of art. It'll just be one more form of art that we didn't previously have. But I don't see it as a inherently destructive force. I don't see it as a inherently negative thing that's going to make art go away or further devalue it. It's devalued enough. Let's just be honest about it. Art does not have the proper value anyway. So this will not make it worthless, because I don't think many people attach enough worth to it. Or not enough people attach enough worth to it. Anyway, now I'm going to shut up. So thank you for stopping by the stream. Enjoy the rest of whatever day it is for you wherever you are, because I did recently check on something for Australia and found out Australia is already a day ahead. So if you're in Australia, it's not even Wednesday. So whatever is left of whatever day it is where you are, enjoy it. Create something, whether that is a visual work or a written work or music or just writing down a nice little note to make somebody's day better. Create something. It'll make you feel better. And I will post links, when that show goes up. Probably on the next stream, I'll have an idea of when it will be up if it's not up already. But that show link that I put in the notes here will get you to where it's going to be. Other than that, thank you for stopping by, and go create something. Take care.